This week's episode is brought to you by More Cute Stories Volume 2, Animators and Imagineers by Rolly Crump. Stay tuned to hear my review.
Communicore Weekly. Come on and get geeky. We bob around boats and five-legged goats. Communicore Weekly. You might catch some freaking. You waited all week. I'm sure you already know that it's the greatest online show.
Hello and welcome to Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show and home of the world's first pair of independently born identical twins. I'm George.
And I'm Jeff. And I know it's a little cold for most of you out there right now, but when I think of cold, I automatically think of going to a water park.
Yeah, why not?
Because I want to be in the warm weather.
Yeah.
I mean, it only makes sense.
Some of the water's heated in some places.
Yeah, especially in the places where it's cold weather. But that's why we decided to talk about one of our favorite water parks tonight, and one you can unfortunately no longer visit. Well, you can, but you get in trouble.
Yeah,
So
you get in big trouble.
we don't recommend it, but
No.
we're going to talk a little bit about it. So
Yay.
let's go jump on that water slide.
Just like Dick Nunes.
It's time for Disney History.
So the first themed water park at Walt Disney World, and the world for that matter, was River Country, and that opened on June 20th, 1976. It was actually located within Fort Wilderness along the shores of Bay Lake, and it was themed to like an old-fashioned swimming hole, much like the days of Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. And because of its popularity, it led to Typhoon Lagoon opening in 1989 and Blizzard Beach in 1995. But back to River Country's opening, it officially opened on June 20th, 1976, and it was opened by Susan Ford, who was President Gerald Ford's daughter, and she took the first trip down the Whoop and Holler Hollow, which was one of the many slides that the park had.
Wow, the perk of being first daughter.
Yes.
Yeah, go figure. You can open up water parks everywhere. Okay, the park featured a sandy bottom and a unique water filtering system that used confluent water from adjacent Bay Lake, which was dammed off, creating a natural-looking man-made lagoon of sorts. And to keep the water in River Country fresh, Imagineers built a giant flexible intake filter tube, which was placed at the mouth of River Country's Bay Cove, opening up into Bay Lake. The tube was filled with water and monitoring equipment to allow it to expand and contract to maintain the water level. And the water from Bay Lake would be pumped through this tube to the top of the water slides at a rate of 8,500 gallons per minute. The excess water in River Country would then spill out over the bladder and back into Bay Lake. I wonder if any kids got lost.
That would be an interesting thing to find out.
Well, we'll move on. So anyway.
So the bladder was actually a large rubber wall that separated River Country from Bay Lake. And it was inflated 6 inches above the surface of Bay Lake, so River Country's water level was slightly higher and allowed gravity to spill water back into Bay Lake. Which means pretty much that science is awesome. And
Yes.
It is very possible that a child flew over that wall at some point in time. So there was rocks surrounding the water slides of River Country, and they used the same designs from Disney Rockman artist Fred Jerger, and the same ones he designed for the rocks found at Big Thunder, the caves of Tom Sawyer Island, and of Schweitzer Falls of the Jungle Cruise. The rocks at the River Country, they may have been fake, but they were scattered with real pebbles from stream beds in Georgia and the Carolinas to kind of add to their real feeling.
So Goofy became the mascot for River Country, and he would often be seen in his swimsuit going down slides and swinging across the boom. And seen on most of the River Country merchandise, Goofy would also be accompanied by Chip and Dale. In the late 90s, a rumor went around that River Country would replace Goofy with an alligator mascot to match Laguna Gator from Typhoon Lagoon and Ice Gator from Blizzard Beach. However, the River Gator never saw any sort of light due to River Country's closing in 2001. And wouldn't Goofy Gator have been a better name?
Goofy Gator would have been a much better name, but I mean, we can't retroactively market the park at this point, unfortunately.
No, that's true. I thought that was the next division of Communicore Weekly.
Yeah, well, that'll happen with time travel and all that stuff.
Okay, that's right.
So back bloop again. I hate that bloop. So back in the 90s, River Country was celebrating the All-American Water Party, and that was to kind of help boost its popularity. And Goofy would make more frequent visits. He would often arrive by boat or by horseback, along with Chip and Dale and Pluto and Minnie, and they were all dressed up in American get-ups. But during the summertime celebration, buttons were handed out. Not cadet buttons, but like regular buttons. And there were all sorts of other fun and games surrounding the celebration, including a banjo band. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough to bring more people in.
Where are you going to put your button on your bathing suit?
I mean, you could put it in your pocket, but then it might hit you and you get flames on the side of my face.
Maybe that's the real reason River Country closed.
It's very possible.
We'll find out as we go. So, okay. Well, despite that, there were a lot of fun areas for people to enjoy at River Country. There were a few pool areas, such as the Upstream Plunge, which was half pool, half landing spot for those going down the slides. There was also Slippery Slide Falls, which began at the top of a rocky peak and ended 7 feet above the water, allowing guests to drop off of the slide and into the pool below. There was also Kiddie Cove, an area for the kids, of course. Bay Cove area, which had the main swimming hole, Barrel Bridge, Cable Ride, and the Boom Swing, and not really the most clever of names.
No, the marketing department failed on that one.
Yes.
But the two main attractions were the Whitewater Rapids and the Whoop and Holler Hollow. Now, the Whitewater Rapids allowed multiple guests to go down the rapids at once, and they were also notably rougher than its counterparts at the other two water parks. And it went along an area called the Raft Rider Ridge next to the Whoop and Holler Hollow. And at the slide's finish, it spilled guests into the Bay Cove, allowing them to relax in their tubes for a while to recover, because it was a pretty rough ride. And then the Whoop and Holler Hollow was the wildest ride at the water park, and it contained 2 body slides that sent guests whipping around fast hairpin turns, and at the climax, it spilled guests off into Bay Cove, which is around 6 foot deep at the end. And guests would kind of have to swim quite a bit before they can touch the bottom or cling onto a side or anything. So if you couldn't swim, it was probably in your best interest to not go on that one, because you would probably drown.
Exactly.
And then they would push you over the bladder into Bay Lake, so they would never find you.
Obviously, they should not put us in charge of River Country.
Nope, we failed.
No, not at all.
There goes the retroactive marketing department we came up with.
Yeah, no kidding. So River Country closed on September 1st, 2001, with many people thinking it was only temporary. However, Disney announced its permanent closure in early 2005. And there have been many theories, all of which unconfirmed by Disney, on exactly why River Country was closed, such as lack of attendance because everyone was going to the new water parks. The water from Bay Lake was corroding everything, including people's brains, like the flesh-eating amoebas that were living in the water.
But they don't like to talk about that.
No, shh.
But basically, since its closure, Disney has left the area to rot. It's still visible when you're traveling by boat on Bay Lake, and the bridges and infrastructure seem to be falling apart, and a lot of the wildlife is starting to take over again. And there have been many brave souls that have explored the area in recent years, and you can find their findings online, but it's definitely not recommended or condoned for you to do that to yourself, because you will get in trouble. Let other people do it, or do it in the past. Look up Adam the Woo, great friend of ours, has a great video about it, but don't do it yourself. But unfortunately, the site's in there. Don't know what's going to happen in the future, so for now, it's just basically left to rot, unfortunately.
And, if you find yourself online on the YouTubes, do a search for River Country, and you might run into a great video of the Mickey Mouse Club hanging out at River Country, singing the River Country theme song. River Country, great old River Country. Okay, I'll stop.
He's a nerd, he's a geek, but we all like to hear him speak. So listen up to the words from his speech. It's George's Book of the Week.
Okay, so I'm really excited about the Book of the Week for this. Oh, Jeff, I'm sorry, can you go in the other room? I think Martina said she had a package for you.
Oh, she did? Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay, good. Oh, whew, I'm glad he's gone. I've got to talk about More Cute Stories Volume 2, Animators and Imagineers. And I didn't want him here to unduly influence my review because, he's the co-host of this show and we write a lot of stuff together, and I don't want you guys to think I just like it because of him. Like we're best buds and everything like that. So, okay. So what we're talking about, More Cute Stories Volume 2, Animators and Imagineers, narrated by Rolly Crump. And of course, you know me, I loved the book. It's Kind of a Cute Story by Rolly Crump and Jeff. It was amazing. Got my book of the year last year. And I loved the first volume 1 for the audio that was released this summer. How awesome is it to hear Rolly Crump sit there and tell you these stories where you can hear his voice inflections and stuff like that. And that's really what's important is with Disney fans and historians, we're finally at a time where all these stories are being recorded. People are doing interviews and they're interviewing all these Disney legends and Imagineers and artists, but rarely have they sat down to record them and produce it. So this is a rare treat to get this. So Volume 2 is awesome. You need to go out and buy it. Buy Volume 1 as well. Buy the book. Okay, we'll move on from there. So Volume 2 clocks in at a bit over 56 minutes and focuses on the artists and Imagineers that Rolly worked with directly. And he shares stories of about 24 different Imagineers and artists, with a lot of others making fun little cameos. And he's got a few minutes worth of audio dedicated to each person itself. And not only do we hear the story of Rolly's work, but also the other people that he came in contact with. The stories are really varied and include insight into how Blaine Gibson first started sculpting and Rolly's foray into erotic art. I'm not going to say anything else. We also hear about how Rolly first started to get into mobiles, and he was building miniature propellers, but I don't ruin anything, and that led him to the building of the Tower of the Four Winds. So we also get a lot of stories about animators that you might not have heard about otherwise, as well as what it was like to work at the studios as an animator in the 50s. So many stories about gags and other projects that were worked on during those years, including Rolly putting spots on Dalmatians. And it really seems like the studios was an incredible place to work. There's a fun little tidbit that we get to hear about a nickname that Jack Fergus and Rolly gave Walt, one that they would never say in front of him. So you have to listen to that. Rolly also shares a lot of tips and tricks that the artists from the studios passed on to him, which was neat. They're small little stories told inside of the larger ones, but you get a good idea for the respect and admiration that Rolly had for his peers. These are all stories that Rolly has loved over the years and was obviously excited to share them. It's almost like he was sharing stories from his own family. And again, I can't mention this enough. Hearing the inflection and the laughter and the smile in his voice really makes the stories priceless. It really does. So the audio release, More Cute Stories Volume 2, is a fantastic addition to Disney history. It really is. What I truly love about it is that it opens up the worlds of the animators, the Disney legends, the other Imagineers, to people that might not have the opportunity to read about these people, but you can listen to it in your car, or while you're working out, or after you listen to Communicore Weekly. And it's just really another great way to get those stories out. So I'm glad that Bamboo Forest Publishing and Jeff are able to do this for Rolly and for us. Now let me go ahead and text Jeff to tell him that, oops, sorry, he needs to come back in so we can finish up.
Hey, George,
Whoa, hey.
I just walked back in. Not only does she not have a package for me, she's not even home.
Oh, that's really weird.
I mean, and how did you even know that she would have a package for me?
I saw it on Facebook.
She wrote that on Facebook? That's a weird thing to write on Facebook.
But it's gone now. I think she deleted it, so don't worry about it.
All right. I guess I'll ask her about it when she gets home. Did I miss anything when I was gone, or?
No. It's just a few minutes of silence. Nothing major.
Nothing? Really?
No, nothing. We're good. We're ready to move on to the next segment.
Oh, all right then.
What we liked, what we didn't like, Yays and the Booze. 60-second review.
So something that Jeff and I talked about when we did our, I was going to say paper review, but web review for Mice Chat with the Iron Man Hulk Heroes United Blu-ray that was just released was that, Marvel is on a roll like Pixar is. So for everything they've released since the Iron Man film in 2008 has been awesome. Has stuck with the canon or filled out the stories, been really, really just a great addition to the universe. Even Agent Marvels of S.H.I.E.L.D. I admit I'm liking that, but that's okay. So when they released this Iron Man Hulk Heroes Unlimited, it was something that I'd passed up on the Disney Channel when it was released because I didn't like the way it looked. And it sort of freaked me out. But that being said, we ripped it open and sat down with a 10-year-old because, as you guys know, he is a huge Marvel fan. Huge Marvel fan. I think he wants to be Captain Iron Man when he grows up. Just mix them. But anyways, we're talking about the Iron Man Hulk Heroes United Blu-ray. I enjoyed it. Thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd like to see something different, but I liked it.
Yeah, I think it's technically considered canon for the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff. Yeah. It was kind of bizarre, a little. I mean, if they do accept it, I can understand it, but it's also a little side story. The visuals, like George said, it would kind of look like the early 2003 Spider-Man cartoon that was on MTV, but updated slightly, and that kind of turned me off at first. But I got used to it after a while, and basically the entire thing was just nonstop action. There was fights the entire time. Even during dialogue, if someone was not getting punched or hit during a piece of dialogue, it was out of the ordinary for the film. But not that was a bad thing. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty entertaining, and it kept my attention for the time. And just having the characters of Tony Stark as Iron Man and the Hulk, the Hulk, mind you, never Bruce Banner, but having them play off each other the entire time, I thought was a very interesting concept, and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, there were some nuances between their characters, which goes beyond your Saturday afternoon or your Saturday morning cartoon show.
Yeah.
So officially, Communicore Weekly condones superhero violence.
Yes, absolutely.
Good,
only
good. Okay.
superhero on supervillain violence. That's the only.
That's all we care about. So
yeah.
But like you're talking about the story, I was like, well, why'd they pair Iron Man and Hulk? And this disc is part of the Avengers Initiative, which started with the Iron Man films of creating S.H.I.E.L.D. and a force to protect not only the United States but the world from alien incursions and supervillains.
Yeah.
But so what it is the Hulk, of course, is misunderstood, doesn't really want to be part of the team, and so Iron Man sort of got to pull him into the fold as such.
Yeah.
But we do get to meet that other anti-Hulk.
The Abomination?
Thank you, the Abomination.
I was thinking, what are you referring to, the anti-Hulk?
Yeah,
the Abomination,
I was like,
that is who
whoa.
he is. Yeah.
What?
Sorry, I know my Marvel
listening.
history.
I was like in trouble. So,
but in addition to that, they had a couple of bonus features on the film. They had a Marvel team up Q&A, which was kind of cool. It was a one-on-one conversation about Marvel team ups overall. And I think also, George, you mentioned that you enjoyed the Marvel intermissions when you paused the film. Pausing the intermission thing has become very common on Disney-related discs now, and I think it's a great idea and makes me not want to get up and go to the bathroom when I pause the film, which is a bad thing, I guess. But
well, it makes it hard for the 10-year-old to get my refill or get me some more popcorn or something.
Yeah.
Makes it difficult. But yeah, so the Marvel intermissions, there are a few bonus ones that you can get from the the special menu feature. I think there's like 3 or 4, but there are a lot more during the intermissions segment when you pause the Blu-ray. And basically, these are mashups of the 1994 through 1996 Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk animated show, which is where Tony's got long blue hair and a blue mustache, and so I'm laughing just thinking about it.
It's just bizarre. It's really bizarre.
They're hysterical. They're funny. They basically mash up the episode and have voiceovers that are completely inappropriate for the characters. Not inappropriate language, but the Hulk doesn't have a normal Hulk voice. I mean, it's really fantastic. So well done. And it actually irritated the 10-year-old because I wanted to watch the intermissions more than the show. But, I enjoyed it. I liked it. My 10-year-old loved it.
Yeah.
He thought it was fantastic. This is a great addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe overall. And, so far so good. I mean, Marvel can't do anything wrong. We had that great Phineas and Ferb Mission Marvel mashup, which was great. Iron Man 3 was good, Thor 2 was good, so we're having a good roll.
Yeah, we are.
this.
So I, definitely check this out, guys. I think you guys would enjoy it.
I'd say, yeah.
Sometimes you might see it, sometimes you don't. Hey, look, what's that? It's a five-legged goat.
So in between your browsing for souvenirs at the Once Upon a Time shop at Disney's Hollywood Studios, which has nothing to do with the television show, it was around before the television show, just an FYI.
I thought the television show was about the shop at Disney's
Yes,
Hollywood
it's about
Studios.
fairy tale characters shopping at that shop. That's exactly what it is.
Perfect.
So when you're in there, take a listen to the music that's playing in the background, because every hour or so, you can hear some of the original radio coverage of the 1937 premiere of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And you can also find photos all over the shop from that night as well. And this is basically because the exterior of the shop is modeled after the Carthay Circle Theater, where Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs had its premiere in 1937. So, it all ties together there.
Yes, it does. More of an audio five-legged goat, which I love those.
Yes, an audible.
I love those.
Five-legged
An
goats.
audible. We can do that. So.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching and listening.
Yeah, be sure to leave us a comment and rate us on the iTunes. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Feel free to always email us at communicoreweekly@gmail.com. We love hearing from the cadets and hearing about what's going on in their lives.
Yeah, talk to us. We're here for you. We'd
Yes,
love
we
to
are.
hear more about you. Well, you can also like us on the Facebook at facebook.com/Communicore Weekly.
And follow us on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Imagineering and he's at Jeff Heimbuck.
And of course, give us a call on the Communicore Weekly hotline. Leave us a voicemail. We'll send you a button. I send out tons of buttons already. It's a lot of fun. The number is 424-785-4628. Give us a call.
That's right. Call the goat line. If you find either one of us in the parks, we'll give you a button too.
Yeah, that as well.
But I'm not in the parks as often as somebody else.
No, you are not. Sorry, George.
I was going to say you have a problem, Jeff, and the first step is admitting it.
Wait, is this a park intervention?
What?
What? This got
For
really
Jeff
weird.
Heimbuck, I'm George Taylor.
And for George Taylor, I'm Jeff Heimbuck.
Yeah, no smooth way out of that transition. No.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time on Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show.